You'll absolutely find it on our YouTube channel at Y254 channel. My good name is Brian Sakwa. Brian Sakwa 101 is my handle on all social media platforms. Now, our guest in this segment is a powerhouse. His passion for advocacy has opened up doors of opportunities for him, but as well, he has amassed himself a good number of networks that he would say continue to inspire him and keep afloat in a world where social media is now being used as a tool to advocate for social change. How can we stay stable and how can we channel ourselves and find more opportunities in this unpredictable virtual world of social media? In this conversation, I'm going to be engaging Bruce Anthony Wamalwa. He's a communications expert and he's definitely right here to take us through his journey from trials and triumphs, as well as how he's using social media to inspire for social action. Karibu sana, Bruce. Nice to meet you.
Asante, nice to meet you, and thank you also for the opportunity to have this conversation.
Karibu sana. Now,
Yes.
I want us to delve into, let's say, your university life, because I understand you're an alumni of St. Paul's University.
Yes.
And you still work there as
Yes,
well.
yes.
And there's an agency that you're running. I think you've either you founded the agency that's also advocating for the rights of children. Please talk about it, your story at St. Paul's, how you're affiliated with it, and then your advocacy work.
Wow. Thank you so much, Brian. And as you said, my name is Bruce Wamalwa. And I think my journey in the university has been one of the most interesting. To begin with, I didn't start my journey at St. Paul's University. I was a student in some other university previously, Tangaza University. Then in 2021, that's where I transitioned and moved at St. Paul's University. But I think immediately I joined St. Paul's University. That is when what is in me was tapped, and I was able to get up and get to know exactly whom I am. That is where I started some advocacy, having been close to the leadership of the university, having been close to the student leadership. I came up now with my CBO that I always talk about, called Keep a Child in School. Initially, I used to call it Keep a Girl in School. But I think I was challenged and I was told, why the girl child only? We also have the boys and you're also a gentleman. So I had to again rethink of the name of my CBO, and that's how I came up with it, just doing advocacy for the young high school going children, for the young people in the rural areas. I've been brought up in the rural areas, and I understand how life is there. I understand what are the challenges that a young person brought up in the village goes through. Sometimes it's not all about lack of resources, but I've just realized that in this life, the most important, you'd rather lack everything, but never lack exposure.
Wow.
Exposure is everything, because even if you have millions and billions, even if you have resources, if you lack exposure, then you'll find some challenge. But and I believe when I came to St. Paul's University, it exposed me to the world. It gave me an opportunity to showcase who I am and what I'm made of. And from there, that's where I got friends like the Halt Prize winners, the Eco Band, the ones who won the 1 million USD with a simple innovation of making reusable sanitary towels using banana fibers. These are the people that I went to class with. I've been to class with the likes of Sam Amani, Richard. Actually, I graduated with Richard Kagoe of BBC recently.
I know Richard Kagoe.
Yeah,
actually,
Richard Kagoe.
He's an admirable media personality.
Yes, Richard Kagoe has been my classmate, and we graduated the same day last year, 15th of November.
Impressive.
And you see, when you meet such people, when you get an opportunity to interact with such people, it exposes you, the exposure, sometimes you might think you are the best.
Until you meet other people.
You meet other people
who are doing 10 times better than you. I like that.
Yeah.
But then I understand you enrolled at St. Paul's University to pursue mass communication. So
Yes.
you're a journalist.
I'm a journalist
but right
by
now
profession,
you're
by the
attached
way.
in PR. Please talk
Yes.
about it.
Whether I'm a journalist, if something happens to you right now, I can pick up and,
I know.
and we
so
continue.
I'm in the safe hands of a colleague that I'm talking to right here.
Yes. So,
okay.
yeah, so I joined St. Paul's University. I wasn't lucky to. I didn't score grades that will enable me to get a direct entry to the university. And that is one aspect that I really want to encourage the young people. Sometimes let not the grade you score define who you are. Get up, pick up the broken pieces, and choose to define your own path. Yeah, let not your grades, let not anything define you. So I joined St. Paul's University to pursue my diploma in journalism. That was in 2021. I did my diploma for 1 year, finished. And after I'd finished, opportunities came. I first started working with Light FM radio. Light FM radio is a radio that is attached to the university. I worked there for like 2 years. I was doing a program known as Safari Yangu. Safari Yangu was a program that I just started with 3 aims: to teach minds, to touch hearts, and transform lives. That's what I used to do.
At Light FM?
Yes, at Light FM.
And Jamii FM?
At Jamii FM, I used to go to do a program called Shangwe na Utukufu.
So how did you transition from Light to Jamii? Are they interconnected?
They are not interconnected.
Two different entities.
Two different entities. How I found myself at Jamii FM, when I was Light FM, I used to go live on my socials.
All right.
So after finishing, I go live and I leave it there. So one morning, I was just seated and I receive a call. I'm so and so, we've been following your profile and would wish you to do this for us. That's how I found myself at
Jamii FM. And you got a job just like that.
I got a job. Although it wasn't for too long. It was for 3 months. Thereafter, I had now to go back to school because you know by then I'd already now enrolled for my BA, my undergraduate, and it was not possible for me to balance because the station is located remotely. So we tried to talk here and about, but I told myself I cannot sacrifice my degree for a job.
For an opportunity.
So I had to leave the job and focus and pursue my degree.
But the best part about all of that is you are crowned the best media personality of the year, 2024-2025, under the Kenya Campus Awards.
Wow, yes.
So how did you get selected for that, and maybe what was the criteria and how did you feel? Well, did it come with a word of cash or it was only, you know, because some of these awards actually, some of them are like a physical award for the recognition of your honorary work, and then others it has brown envelope attached with a signed check, smiling all the way to the bank. So what came?
Thank you so much. And I believe that was what we call a defining moment, and the feeling was something else. How the criteria was, people were nominating, the public was given an opportunity to nominate anyone. So personally, I don't know who nominated me, by the way. I just woke up.
It happened like a miracle.
It just came like a surprise. I just woke up one morning, I saw a text that you have been nominated for this, this, and this. And I was like, wow. So I rushed to check how many have we been nominated. We were nominated 12 of us. 12 of us. So the process began. People started voting and what have you. I think it ran for 2 months. Results were being sent and what have you. Eventually, when the final tally was done, I emerged the best. From there now, it was the awarding ceremony. The ceremony happened at the Kenya Cinema. We went there. I was given my prestigious award and some check, which I won't disclose.
So it came with that, which is a good thing. Actually, I think it's incredible to be recognized for your work that you do authentically, the blood, sweat, and tears, and you receive something that actually validates it. It inspires you to do greater exploits, and I think it asserted and validated what you are doing all along.
And of course now even your name and your title changes. Right now when I walk my head held high that I'm the best.
A proud personality.
And
you are a winner. Yes, winning.
In
in quote unquote. But then when it comes now to actually what you're doing and how social media is involved, I believe we are heading to a world where literally everything is shifting to the online platforms.
Yes.
We saw with what happened last year with the Gen Z protests. It looks like the spirit of revolution and activism has been loudly activated through the social media platforms. And people like you who are advocating for social change, it means that you're adapting to the trends and the platforms as well. So how have you packaged all this that you're doing on social media and doing outreach?
Thank you so much, Brian. That's a very good question. And true, everything is moving to the digital world. A time is going to come when we will no longer be converging at Kamukunji, neither at KICC, Jacaranda grounds, or Woodley grounds. Everything is going digital. And when you talk about revolution, when you talk about Gen Zs, I remember during that time how these X spaces, you could join them and you could find like 2 million people at a go. And you could ask yourself, which stadium in this country can accommodate 2 million people at a go? Number. So that clearly tells you that the conversation is shifting, and it is shifting so fast, and we really have to put up with the speed that it is moving. And when we talk of digital activism, of course, Bruce is not a household name. He's just a young man born and bred in some small village back in Kakamega County. But through digital platforms, through social media, I'm able to put out to the world what I'm capable of doing, what I'm made of. And this is what now assists me to build capacity and rubber stamp the brand that I carry.
So how are you doing that?
How I'm doing that is I have social media platforms that I have created, developed, and social media gives you, it is only on social media that everybody has gone to university. I think you understand
Everyone is an expert. Everyone can give an opinion.
Everyone can give an opinion.
About anyone.
About anyone and about anything. But
okay.
Even as that happens, Brian, we have to be very careful with social media. You know, social media doesn't have the traditional gatekeepers. Immediately I have my phone, I have my data bundles, and I have an idea to write. I can post it.
Yeah, write, record videos, audio, text, combine all those.
True. So even as we do this digital activism, that is one thing that I've been very careful with, because social media never forgets. Never think that you'll write something or you'll insult something or criticize anyone and imagine that at some point social media will never forget. So for me, what have saved me are these guiding principles that I've been moving with. And for me, I'm a communication expert by profession. I've gone to a communication class. I know what, when you talk about authenticity, when we talk about being a professional,
truth,
what am I supposed to?
Yes,
truth. What am I? Yes.
I think the question at some point should be, is social media a place for extracting truth?
Yes.
And I use the word authenticity.
Authenticity, because, you know, there is a very big difference between what is true and what is close to the truth. Most
and
of
also doctored truth.
And doctored
truth.
Manufactured truth. You know, right now in social media we have bloggers. A blogger is someone sometimes who drives an agenda. In media we have what we call agenda setting. That you have to drive the people watching you or the people listening to you towards a specific direction, narrative or direction. So for me, these are some of the things that really helped me. Whenever I post something, it has to be authentic. Whenever I say something, I must have substance, substantial support over it. And another thing is just being honest. Because, you know, I'm dealing with a CBO. I have to outsource for funds from friends. I have to get support from different organizations. So whenever I have a project and I'm putting it out there, it has to be very transparent. And that is what has helped me. As a person, if today, Brian, I share with you my handles of social media, when you go there, what does it, you know, I don't have to introduce myself at some point, but immediately I share with you my profile, you go through. you can easily tell what kind of person Bruce is. So those are some of the things that have kept me alive. Those are some of the things that have been so much critical to me as I navigate through the digital space.
Yeah. So you brought out really good points. Maybe let me also break it down. Do you believe that a lot of people on social media actually, let's use the word fake, they're not authentic, like you said, and we've even seen it with celebrities, our local celebrities as well. What they share online and who they are in real life is totally a different person. But then another person will say, you know what, don't expect to find authenticity, the person who is on social media to be exactly the person in real life. I've also had instances where somebody said, hey, the way you look on social media and the way you look in person, they are totally two different people. So do you believe that people fake it on social media, and perhaps even social media should not be used as a place where you should be, you should use it as a, let's say, as a yardstick for judge of character, especially when it comes to even leaders as well? Yeah. Apart from you, who is grounded in your values,
I think, Brian, what I'll say before I answer your question is accepting yourself is the first step towards success. Just accept that I'm Sakwa. Just accept the way you are. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to live like somebody else. Unfortunately, social media has given us leeway and room to copy and paste. You know, I want to sound like Sakwa. I want to walk like
Is there anyone who wants to sound like Sakwa? I'll definitely love to meet you.
Definitely. There's somebody who just,
wants to sound like
listens to you or sees you and is like, he wants to, you know.
Maybe from an admirable mentorship kind of,
which is good. But I've seen even people, you know, just coming even with pseudo and parody accounts of Sakwa. Whatever you post on yours, they post on theirs. What is the motivation towards? That is fake already.
True.
Because this person is impersonating you. This is impersonification. He pretends to be you, yet he is not. Another thing that you've just asked about social media, 90, I can say 80% of the lifestyle that people portray on social media is false. It is false because people are using social media to create an impression. They just want to create an impression and some perception towards the people. That
isn't that the joy of social media?
that should not be the essence of social media. The essence of social media should be motivating people. Should be showcasing what you are doing so that other people can journey with you, support you, and come through for you whenever it's necessary.
I once heard Andrew Kibe at some point say, ukitaka inspiration usikuja hapa kwangu. Enda uko kwa Burale. It was actually a laughable moment, you know. So it looks like this personality who calibrated themselves in a way that if you want inspiration, kuja kwa Bruce. Kama unataka wahala, enda uko kwa Andrew Kibe. And I really find it to be interesting. But from the point you're bringing out is like social media is a curated reality from the beautiful, striking aesthetics that are so demure and attractive, you know. And a lot of people actually gravitate towards that, and you think it's the truth, kumbe. It's all curated.
Yeah, it's all curated. And thank you for mentioning Burale. He's my very good friend, by the way, and I know he's watching this. We do quite a lot of things, and we have a special relationship with him, which I'll not mention.
Okay.
So that is how we should be doing things as far as social media is concerned. Like, let's just accept the way things they are. But you know, you want to create some perception. For example, you've moved from like the way Bruce came from some village to Nairobi, and maybe things are not moving. But I want to prove a point back at home that I'm in the city and I'm living my life to the fullest. So when at some point I'll need the help of people, when I'll need people now to come through for me, they won't, because I've already created a perception that I've made it. That is why you go to somebody's inboxes, messages full of requests, jobs, money, and what have you. It is because of the perception that you've created. And now people expect a lot from you. But Sakwa, when you live a simple life, an authentic life, you'll never be bothered by anything or anyone.
Literally.
Because it's you. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I actually I agree with what you're saying. What happens to people that are looking for social media fame? Yeah, because fame, somebody who said fame can translate to money, but sometimes it cannot. Yeah. So for somebody who's cloud chasing, trying to find, let's say, a following, a massive following, get a profile, get to be known and your name out there, and we've actually seen it working for people who. Somebody recorded themselves, they danced in a certain raggedy, ratchet way, the video went viral. Now, sooner or later, they're in a podcast, they've started a podcast, or a radio station, some dingy radio station somewhere. They are introducing the morning show, you know. And you've also wondered, oh, what happened to journalism? I think we've even had that debate.
True.
Why are some of these, positions being given to some of these people who have clout on social media? If you look at their come-up story, it's wild and just insane.
Yeah, true. So I think to your question, what I'll say is things keep on evolving in some way. And I'm a firm believer as well that there is a very big distinction between popularity and fame.
And then you can also add influence.
And influence.
There's a guest who told me you can be influential, but you're not an influencer.
Yes.
You can be popular but not famous.
So there is influence, there is fame, and there is popularity. So of these three things, what are you looking for? You can be popular but not famous.
Yeah.
And you can
influential.
You can be famous and not and you can be none.
Yeah, but be influential still.
But influential. So to me, once you venture into social media, you have to know what exactly you want and tailor your message as per what you want to achieve. If you just want to be popular, you can do anything, and anyone can be popular.
Yeah.
You know, being popular doesn't involve a lot. Do some crazy stuff, go viral, you'll be popular. But it never lasts.
Yeah. Oh, so it's short-lived.
It's short-lived. Popularity is short-lived. But if you want to be famous, fame comes with some impact.
Yeah.
Some, just a little impact. So if you want to be famous, get out, show the world what you're doing. But now there is the last bit that you've introduced, an influencer. And an influencer, there are two kinds of influencers. You can either influence people in the right way, positively, or you can influence people negatively.
Yeah, because you are feeding them with narratives.
Yes, narratives.
You're infiltrating their minds with these ideas that are rogue, and they end up becoming, reckless people.
Yes. Right now, you pass around the streets, even young kids, the language that they use, where have they gotten it from?
It's called shembeteng, bruh.
Yeah.
Do you know it's a genre?
Very unpalatable.
Have you ever heard of Tipsy G?
Yeah, I've heard all those things. And
he's very influential in terms of writing these lyrics, the shembeteng.
Yeah.
Kufinish kumalo,
Kufinish kumalo.
Very entertaining slang in music.
But I'm wondering, what is the future? It's no longer about that we are the leaders of tomorrow, that we will take responsibilities tomorrow. We have started to take responsibilities now. But I'm just wondering, I look at the kind of language that people, those days when we were growing, I'm not so old, by the way, but when I was young, there are things that I could not just have said publicly.
So now you have a filter because you're wiser, you've experienced, you're exposed.
But you just meet somebody and he just says something, and it's like, it doesn't bother. It's just okay. You have no filter. So whenever I look at this, those are some of the influence now that people, again, the person you just mentioned a few minutes ago.
Very influential in music.
And the other one, when you're talking about Brale, I don't want to mention names.
Brale is influential or he's famous?
I think Brale has both.
Yeah, he's famous and
he's
influential
famous
at
and
the same
influential
time.
because he has some agenda that is always, or a message that is always passing. But you mentioned about
And then
Andrew
a little
Kibe.
bit popular here.
Yes, a little bit popular.
Yeah, Andrew Kibe.
Yeah, you talked about Andrew Kibe. Yeah, there are people who love what he says. There are people who find it as fun, but maybe it does not sit well with Sakwa or Bruce. Because at the end of the day, we don't just listen to things to be entertained. I want to get information. I want to know exactly. But for him, you know, it's tap. Likes, he goes, withdraws his few coins and lives move on. He has bills to pay. But at the end of the day, how has he influenced you? That should be the biggest question.
Yeah, as a consumer on this other side, because also there's a social media expert as well who said we should now, even Africa itself, should shift from a consumer, let's say, body to a creator, you know, body, so that we don't just feed. And in fact, it touched also on artificial intelligence, and I think I was reading about the EU AI Regulation Act of 2025, where it's actually giving regulations on how consumers of AI can shield themselves from exploitation and abuse by AI systems. It's an interesting conversation. But then now for social media, for people like you who are championing for social change, how do you position yourself in a way that you are also amassing a certain demographic of people who are not just being influenced, but they're being transformed to shift their lives into, let's say, even to expand that thinking capacity, to understand that, you know, what you know and what you've experienced or where you are, there's a bigger, greater, grander world than what you're exposed to.
True. Yeah. I think for me, what I'll say is knowing your niche is very important. You are not on social media for everyone. Everyone is not a consumer of what you do. And everybody will not be happy with what you do. So identify yourself with the target group that you really want to impact, that you really want to communicate, and focus there.
Target group.
Target group. Just have your niche.
Meaning that you've researched, actually. Because for you to cap your niche, it means like targeting Gen Zs who are this and this. So it means you did your research, you did your due diligence.
You did your due diligence because in every group, age group or what have you, there is a specific thing that appeals to them. There is a specific group, Gen Zs, that politics is their thing. You talk about politics, they'll follow you like nobody's business. There are those that when we talk of the economy of this country, that is their business. You do anything economy, they'll be on your socials. There are those who about, you know, championing about societal changes, you know, social things, they'll be there. So identify your niche. Identify what exactly you want to pass across, and tailor your message and hit the ground and hit towards the group that you want to pass your message. Leave the rest. Social media people will bully you. By the way, I've been bullied in social media at some point. Somebody just came up and said that I want to contest for an MCS seat. And I was bullied. People could say, oh, he's dark, oh, his nose looks like this. But immediately,
that must have been harsh.
You know, this is a world that you should expect anything. People will claim so many things and say so many things about you just because you came up with a CBO that is championing for specific things in the community. People just tend to think that when somebody starts like this, his end goal is joining politics. So,
and actually, most of the time, it absolutely usually ends up in that lane. So, not too far away from. They say the apple does not fall far. But anyways, still speaking of that, you mentioned of people, you've mentioned being bullied, but then we are constantly seeing this coming out even with our leaders. They're saying, you know what, Gen Zs wanatupia mawe sana, some of them wanawasalimia tu kwa church, some of them are even, you know, I'll say dumping their details on social media in bid to just expose them, because Gen Zs on this other side, they're feeling hard-pinched by some of the decisions, and even when it comes to UN matters accountability. And I believe that was actually the core that fueled the Gen Z protest last year. So This year, they're saying, you know what, we are staring at a possible social media regulation. And actually, last week, I saw one of the leaders who said the government should actually speed up mechanisms to regulate social media use, because if we don't, according to him, he feels like there could be another, in fact, he said a rebirth, you know. Yeah. What do you make of that?
What I'll say is this, especially to the Gen Zs. You know, I'm a Gen Z, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
a
you
Gen
are.
Z.
Yeah.
And at times, I agree with what they advocate for. And at times, I don't disagree. You know, there is an old adage in law that says, where your rights end is where mine begins.
Yeah.
And when we talk about leaders, leaders are public figures. These are people who are in the public domain. You have a right to criticize them. But Sakwa, how do you criticize? The how is what matters.
Yeah. So do you believe, maybe what I'm hearing you say is that maybe the how, or let's say it's the approach of criticism and the style
Yes.
that the Gen Zs are using to
Yes.
criticize the
Yes.
leaders,
Yes.
it's not defined.
Yeah.
So you believe there should be a
Like,
style of
like,
how the things that you should say? Yeah.
Criticism
Yeah.
shouldn't involve insults.
Yeah. But you know, criticism is both positive and negative.
Yeah,
so
true.
there could be,
Positive.
I'm clapping for you, but also I'm giving you a
I'm
thumbs
giving
up.
you-
Yeah, I'm
yes.
hitting and biting at the same time, you know?
So what I'm talking about specifically is, if I want to criticize Sakwa, today I've been on your interview, I might go out there and I feel maybe you asked a question that, you know, didn't go down well with me. Or right now I'm here speaking to masses out there, and somebody, what I see doesn't sit well with somebody else. How does that person criticize me? For example, it's negative criticism. Negative criticism necessarily shouldn't involve insults. But you know, sometimes you go to pages of leaders. For you indeed to become a leader, you have to develop a thick skin and a cement skin. But
Yeah.
Sakwa, I'm one person who criticizes leaders, individuals, so many times. But at no point I've ever stooped low to an extent of insults. So what the Gen Zs are doing, it's absolutely right. But the how is where we draw the line.
Yeah. So do you believe parents have the responsibility of teaching them the how? Because nobody has ever taught us how to use social media. It's actually, you download it on your, once you have a device, then hallelujah, welcome to my TED Talk. It's you to download the app and learn how to use it on your own. So whatever you put on that app, it's up to you and your mental, you know, whatever. So do you believe parents should start working with Gen Zs and teaching them how to use social media? Because the Gen Zs themselves know these things, and now AI is in place, you know. So how do you counter that?
What I'll say is this, even our parents, maybe nobody taught them how to use social media. But what if we can twist this a little bit? Now that things are evolving, does this mean that it is high time that we should start thinking of revising our syllabus?
What
in
syllabus?
schools?
Oh, it's school syllabus. Okay, classroom syllabus. I get what you're
Classrooms?
saying. Yeah.
So that we stop learning about the parts of a grasshopper
Okay.
and we start introducing some of the subjects. Because, you know, if my father was in class maybe in the year 1963, how much had the digital world evolved? How much were they exposed vis-a-vis Bruce, who is today in class?
Who you were born in social media, by the way.
And I'll also, at some point, I'll also be an octogenarian. You know, my children will, I'll be speaking things and my children will be like, this guy.
What world did you live in? But now they'll be reading it on social media after, by
But
the
if
way.
we
No need
can
to panic.
incorporate some of these things into our syllabus at a very young age as we grow.
Yeah. Actually, there's hackathons where, you know, there's schools that have introduced, I think, AI training. They think things like coding and software development to like 5-year-olds. Children are learning it. So I think it's good to be introduced in the education curriculum.
Let it be introduced to the education curriculum. Let these people be taught. You know, a child is like, I can compare a child to a tree. If you want a tree to be crooked, ijikunje, when it's coming up, you can do it. You can do away with the head and leave the branch. So if we can bring our younger brothers and sisters in the right way, when they go to class, immediately they land in class. They are taught about social media, what it entails.
What happens to those in the interior who have no access to some of these devices we have? Some of them are really fancy, very expensive, and they have a series of developments. It's like a new form of that gadget, very expensive.
I remember at some point the government had a project of the laptop projects. I think that was the right time for us to hit hard. Because these laptop projects, I think they had come up with solar systems that these things could be powered in the remote areas as far as Turkana, as far as West Pokot, as far as Baringo. So if the government can invest in such things, anybody in whatever part, however interior it is in this country, we can get the right exposure.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, what are the, let's say, very sensitive and delicate avenues of society that you believe social media can be used to transform the lives of people in those areas, especially in today's world?
I think there are several areas, especially when we talk about advocacy and championing for rights of the people. There is a very key sensitive area in the society that I believe social media works best, and that is what we call accountability for our leaders.
Okay. Leadership.
Leadership. And leadership and accountability goes hand in hand. So social media is very critical because at some point social media has influenced even the president to dissolve his entire cabinet.
Good point.
Through social media. Social media has been able to influence even governors to be summoned before Senate to account for the allocation that they received, and the public believes the funds were mismanaged. Social media has been able to unearth so many things through the digital platforms. You know, when you talk of digital activism, is social handles, TikTok, Twitter, and what have you. Even during the Gen Z's protests, the only thing that those young people used to have was a mobile phone, an app,
A barrel of water.
and a bottle of water,
And
I think
a flag.
a flag
Kenyan
and some
flag.
Colgate.
Yes, and a mask.
And your gadgets.
Yeah, now Colgate Pier.
And Colgate.
Yeah.
And you could see the impact that it brought in this country. You could see how leaders who are showing opulence went under the waters. And at some point, although I cannot say that accountability was restored 100%, but at least leaders became responsible. You've seen even somebody...
And now they're asking for regulation. And summoning those social media platforms to be
I've seen
right
that people use, but I think I'll go back to what I told you. Let's just use social media responsibly. And if it is criticizing, the how is very key.
Do you believe social media is a big threat to the leadership system right now? Yeah.
It is a big threat.
In what area?
It is a big threat because what social media does, social media has everyone. Actually, everyone today in a society is a journalist.
Citizen journalism.
Citizen journalism.
Or mobile journalism.
They have not gone to class. Of course, there are key things that you learn to class about journalism. For example, what you're supposed to say, how you're supposed to say, what you're supposed to show, what you're not supposed to show. But
the ethos and the ethics.
The ethos and the ethics. So everybody has become a journalist, which is a very big danger.
How is that a danger?
How that is a danger, this is how it comes, you know, Sakwa. For Y254 TV to report news, for example, at 1 p.m., you've done due diligence. However bad the story is, you know how to package this story. Packaging is very important. How do you film a story? Thereafter, how do you caption this story and put it to the public? It's not just all about reporting. I've seen even people going to funerals and somebody just takes his phone, goes to the casket, takes a photo of our late
The
brother or
deceased,
sister,
yeah.
and post it on social media.
Yeah.
So, you see, that is now the threat, or maybe there is an accident somewhere,
Yeah.
very bad accident. People have died, you know.
Yeah.
Other accidents are very crucial, even the body, the head is there, the body parts are here. You just go film and post it. That now becomes a danger because, you know, what are you showing to the people?
Yeah.
What are you showing to the public?
Yeah, but then to the leaders, how is social media in Kenya a threat to politicians and the hierarchy of Democrats who are up there and up and up?
I think social media is a big threat, especially to leaders who are incompetent. For a leader who is just competent, you should not feel threatened in any way. Actually, social media you should be going through so that you know areas to rectify. But if a leader is incompetent, a leader has been allocated a specific amount of budget, and this leader has no tangible projects to show on the ground, social media can become a threat. Because through social media, this is whereby bodies like EACC
Yeah.
are brought to attention. Because if something is happening, for example, in the most interior part of this country, like, do you know a place known as Likuyani? Have you ever heard even of it?
Yeah, I've heard of
You've
Likuyani.
heard of it.
Yeah.
But it will take time for you to know what is happening in Likuyani, for example. That's my home constituency.
Okay.
But through social media, if I feel there is something that is not right that is happening, I can raise an alarm.
Yeah.
So many whistleblowers and so many critical key cases and stories have just been whistleblown through social media.
Yeah.
So
And that has helped actually.
it has helped actually. So to me, these are some leaders who are incompetent, leaders who do crazy stuff under the waters are the one who feel
Or
that social
afraid,
media
you know,
is a threat.
So you don't believe in mechanisms to regulate social media, especially X, because that's where I think it's a Pandora's box of wahala, where the AI images, the CGIs, the silhouettes and caricatures, and of course, as a blogger who has, because now with AI systems, you can literally manipulate anyone in the world. I even saw Pop's CGIs. I saw at some point, I think it was Biden, during the Biden-Kamala Harris campaign, there was a TikTok of them choreography dancing even with a leader right here in Kenya, and it looks real, but it's entertaining, but according to them, it's annoying and it's infringing on their, let's say it's denting their personality as a leader in the right-thinking people society. So do you believe the mechanisms and the measures to regulate should not be there, and they should just, develop a thick skin and know that, you don't even own the social media itself. But also remember, there was, I think, a directive from the Ministry of Interior, could have been 2 months ago or late last year. They summoned all social media giants from the Metas to the X and the IGs here to be headquartered right here in Kenya. And I remember an example of India. They attempted to have a headquarter of X. What happened is the politicians used, I think, their DCI, I don't know the DCI of India, to tell those officers who are operating backend on Twitter to delete some tweets that are not even, injurious to the personality of politicians. So if I can only imagine now, if we had X headquartered, whatever in OST or Gigiri, the amount of Subarus will be heading there, it will be a Netflix movie.
It will be a Netflix.
Yeah.
I think what I'll say is regulating of social media is not a bad idea, but how is the government planning to regulate? At the end of the day, our country is a democracy. That is why in this country, Sakwa can criticize the president. His right is enshrined in our constitution. It's within the law. But just as I said earlier, where your rights end is where mine begins. So the big question is, how is the government planning to regulate social media? Does it mean that, like yesterday, we all saw after the documentary was released how tension was all over?
Was it tension or just reaction?
Reaction, and of course, you know,
So
tension because
maybe tension to the characters.
yes,
who were in the
you
video,
know, of
but
course,
I don't think the general public.
not the
went
general
through
public, but you know,
tension,
sometime, you know,
Yeah.
maybe people had
maybe anticipation and just, let's say,
Yeah, just
anxiety.
like-
oh wow, this is what happened.
yeah.
But we've also seen retaliation. We've seen
And
retaliation.
I think I
actually.
saw yesterday that
Yeah.
you know, it's being planned to be stopped, to be aired and what have you. I think I
Actually, the
saw.
screening.
Yeah, the
they
screening and
halted
what
the
have you.
screening. Yeah.
But the big question for me is, how is the government planning to regulate?
Yeah.
Is it that
Is there need even for regulation? Maybe
there is need for
there is
regulation.
need for
There
regulation.
is need for regulation.
You agree there's need for
I
regulation?
agree there is, you know, as
So that
as a professional.
so that what is filtered, you know.
You know, now speaking from an angle of a professional, somebody who has gone to class,
Yeah.
And not to become a doctor, but to communicate. Yeah.
So to filter what and who is being affected. Because also, I believe there's no constitutional, a fundamental constitutional article that says this is how social media is abused. I was actually listening to a social media expert who is an expert in internet governance. He was saying there are no written constitutional rules even for any country
True.
on how social media can be used or abused
Absolutely.
until they are stipulated in that Senate or cabinet of that country and
Absolutely.
say, sasa, ukiviolate Cybercrime Act, wewe tunakupeleka
Acts of
huko."
parliament, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, through acts of parliament and what have you. But what I believe, Sakwa, is we can their regulation. It's a matter of sitting down and having what we call a PP, public participation way of thing. Okay, bring different stakeholders on board and let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
How can we regulate this thing? Where has social media infringed people's privacy? How are these people affected? From there, we can be able to agree that we can regulate social medias in these specific areas.
Yeah.
And why are we regulating these social media in these specific areas? To achieve a certain goal.
But then, good point. Also, when you look at it, the loudest voices that want regulation are from the higher ups. But what about the netizens? What are they saying about it? So is it for the goodwill of the netizens or for the goodwill of these who feel like, you know what, kama atasema hivi atatweet hivi X basi tuweke hii icon flani ama for you. But the chat GPT, I think starting 1st May will be premium. You'll not be able to access free chat GPT. It's taxable, for your info if you had no idea. Because Kenyans are Googling things and creating things that are affecting somebody
sort of
somewhere.
stuff.
So I think it's an endless, dicey topic, but I love to hear from a lot of Gen Zs.
On their perspectives and what have you.
You've really given an in-depth insight. But then also on matters or places in society that you feel like, I say, have been shortchanged in terms of receiving voices. What areas would you say, in your experience from what you've done and accomplished up to here you are on TV, that you say, these areas for me, they've not received a lot of light in terms of them being talked about, conversations being had, opportunities being channeled and whatnot.
I think one of them is, what I'll say is, I feel education is an area that we really need to have a conversation around. Education. And having an opportunity to be working in a university, I can see a gap. Like right now, people go to schools. After Form 4, somebody has even scored grade E. What next for that person? Is taking his life or her life away the solution? No. Is buying that person a motorbike so that he can go and do boda the solution? No. But let's have a conversation on through social media, through
the
TV,
X Spaces,
the X
TikTok
Spaces
lives, and they're happening actually.
Yes, on how after this, how can you go up?
What next after?
Let's talk about TVET. Let's talk about artisan courses. Let's talk about craft.
Let's talk about AI,
Yes,
incorporating
incorporating
AI in artisan courses.
Thereafter, you can be able to transition, join university, and rise up to the higher ranks.
Yeah.
Me, I've
Okay.
seen sometimes I've gone to places, I've just gone to talk to the audience.
Yeah.
And a parent just comes and tells me, you know what, Bruce from St. Paul's, I have my child who scored a D.
Yeah.
What next? What does that tell you? That these people
Something
maybe
is
they've
missing.
not been told on how to go. But for me, I'll tell him, no,
Yeah.
that is not the end of the road.
Okay.
That does not mean that your child is a failure.
Absolutely.
Come to St. Paul's University,
Yeah.
let the person join TVET,
Yeah.
do a craft course or an artisan course, thereafter transition, do a certificate, a
Yeah.
diploma, and rise even up to doing a PhD.
Absolutely. We have to exit, Bruce.
All right.
But in 30 seconds, who do you think are the most shortchanged in today's world? A boy child or girl child or both? Because I've not had a lot of advocacy bodies or associations that are in the boy child's aspect here. 30 seconds as you give us your parting shot as we exit and your social.
Boy child is under siege, and my parting shots.
Yeah, please look
is
at
this,
your camera. Yes,
as young people, let's use social media responsibly. Let's build capacity. Let's empower ourselves. Let's get the right education. From there, we can be able to negotiate and fight for our spaces in the community and even at the national level. Thank you.
Yeah, and how can they catch you on social media?
On social media, you can follow me on Facebook at MC Wamalwa Bruce. I'm also on TikTok. I call myself the Village Boy. I'll talk about it some other day.
Yeah.
And all other social media platforms at MC Wamalwa Bruce. You can meet there, we can interact, and we can talk more.
And network. Yeah, and also seek inspiration.
True.
It's been a riveting conversation, Bruce, with you. Great to meet you.
Thank
I
you.
think this was God's plan, okay?
Yeah.
God's plan. Thank you for your insights as well. And
Karibu.
I know a lot of our viewers who have been watching from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. right now, exactly 2 minutes to 10 a.m., have learned a lot. If not, ensure that you catch all the episodes on our YouTube channel platform, which is at Y254 channel. Mine is at Brian Sakwa 101. Well, definitely see you tomorrow, bright and early. See you tomorrow. Have a fantastic Tuesday.